Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making Hamantashen and we're making a little different take on Hamantashen. We are making an almond raspberry Hamantashen. Sort of change things up a little bit, almost like a Linzer Hamantashen, right? You know, the Linzer torte. And Hamantashen are little three-cornered pastries with filling in them, usually a fruit filling, traditionally, to honor the holiday of Purim. And that comes in the springtime. It's a Jewish holiday. And everyone can enjoy these wonderful pastries. Now, traditionally, the fillings can range from prune to poppy seed, apricot, jams. Sometimes I put chocolate in them because they're so good. But we're going to kick it up a little bit and do a modern take on the Linzer torte and put it into a Hamantashen. Now, before I get started, I'd like you to click your notification button so you can see all my upcoming videos and tips. And I hope you become a subscriber too. So let's get started. This dough is very easy. We have to start with a dough, a shortbread dough that we make in our electric mixer. So before I get started, I do want to mix together two ingredients, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour and ½ teaspoon of baking powder. Now, baking powder is not traditional in a shortbread crust. You can use a shortbread crust for a pie, like a big pie, or you can even use it in a cookie. And we are using this in a cookie, sort of a little tart-like cookie. So I'm whisking this together because we want our baking powder thoroughly blended. And then I'm going to just put that aside. All right. In our electric mixer, I am going to add a softened 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter, so that's a stick of butter, all right? 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. So this is not highly sweetened, but it's a little bit atypical of a, let's say, flaky pie crust, because there's no sugar typically in those. This is a shortbread crust, so this can basically stand on its own as a cookie with or without a filling, because it's so good. So now we're going to take our paddle attachment, and we are going to just blend this up. You don't want to cream it. You don't want to add air like you would to a traditional creaming method cookie or cake. You're just trying to mix the butter and the sugar together until they're well blended. Now I'm going to add some enriching ingredients, things that will tenderize gluten and tenderize our pastry. And that is 1 large egg yolk, not the white, 1 large egg yolk. And I want you to save the white, and we're going to add another white because we need that for our almond filling for these delightful Hamantashen. And then I have 4 tablespoons of heavy cream. And you always want to keep a little more on hand just in case you need it and your dough's too dry. So my beautiful butter and sugar are well blended. Before I add these liquid ingredients, I'm going to add my dry ingredients. You can add it any way you want, but I usually add this first because the flour can be coated with the butter. The little strands of flour, remember, all-purpose flours from the wheat plant, and it will actually create gluten once the wet ingredients, the water-based ingredients are added. And there's not too much water-based ingredients that we have, but there is a little water and heavy cream. And when you add water-based ingredients to any wheat flour, you're going to grab a little gluten formation that's going to form to give it structure. And we just don't want to give it too much strength and structure because we want a nice tender pastry. All right. So once that is in there, I'm going to save my spoon. It might get little bits, like little niblets, but it's not going to be thoroughly blended because we don't have enough liquid yet. So we're going to add our yolk, okay, our large yolk. And we're going to add our 4 tablespoons of heavy cream. And you might want to have a little bit extra on hand if you think you might need it or your dough's too dry. So I'm going to add that all at once. And I'm going to show you what you're going to get. You're going to get a dough that doesn't look like a dough yet, but don't worry, it will. So it basically looks like little bits. See, little bits, little niblets, like I like to call them. And you're just going to clean off your your paddle, and I'm going to show you what you can do. You can actually take your bowl scraper, you know, that flexible piece of plastic, and actually push the ingredients together to combine them, because there may still be some dry ingredients on the bottom of this bowl that haven't blended in. Sometimes if this doesn't go fast enough, I use my hands. Those are your best tools. So grab your hands and just squeeze it together. Don't knead it, because we really don't want to encourage gluten formation. Oh, this dough feels silky from the heavy cream and yolk, because remember, the yolk is the fat part of the egg. So we're just sort of making this beautiful silky shortbread. It's going to melt in your mouth, and then you're going to have that beautiful, yummy almond raspberry filling. It is going to hit the spot. It is so good. So I'm just going to actually move it around my hands, like sort of twist them a little and get those dry ingredients incorporated. I am going to let this dough rest for about an hour in the refrigerator. And if you're not ready to make Hamantaschen, you say, well, I want to make the dough, but I want to make Hamantaschen tomorrow or next week, you can actually either chill it in the refrigerator for several days or freeze it. Just date it, label it, and freeze it, and then thaw it in the refrigerator. And then you can roll it out when you're ready. So I do have a dough here. I'm going to take a piece of plastic wrap, which I've already ripped off. And then I'm going to put my baby in for a little bit of a nap. All right, you're going to see what I mean. So, you know, when you have a baby or you see a baby, you wrap them and you swaddle them, and they like to, you know, they're relaxed when they're like that. Well, our dough too is going to relax and have a little bit of a rest. So I'm going to take both sides, tuck them under, and then I'm going to push with my hands and form a dough. This is going to get all the fat-based ingredients with the flour and the sugar and the yolk all incorporated, and then this is going to go into the refrigerator for about an hour. So I've rolled out my dough. It's already rested for an hour in the refrigerator. If it's a little hard after an hour, let it sit out, or you can also do a quick hack. Put it on a plate, the dough, take the plastic wrap off, put it in the microwave for 10 seconds on 50% power, and it'll get a little bit softer. And don't do any more, because you don't want your butter to melt. Remember that? So I've rolled it between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch thick, and I'm going to roll it out a little more with you. But first we have to make our almond filling, right? So in a food processor, and you have to do this in a food processor because it works a lot better. I have 8 ounces of almond paste, not marzipan, almond paste. And I'm going to give it a little go round. Just going to pulse it, and then I'm going to add some sugar. All right. So I know it has a little sugar already in it, but the sugar also helps break it down and sweeten it up just a little more. So this is 1/3 cup. All right. And I'm just going to put that in there. Oh my gosh. The smell of almond is overwhelming me. It's so good. Keep it going until it's like little crumbles, and you can see. Now I'm going to add 2 large egg whites. That's our filling. That's it. It's easy. Easy peasy. All right, you're going to wait. Keep it going until it almost balls up. You'll see it. You'll know when it does it. There it is. There it is. We got the ball. So we're done. Okay, we're done. And you're going to be careful of the middle portion. I always like to hold it in my fingers if I am going to sort of dump something out. But I'm going to take this out first. All right, I'm going to put this down. You want to put everything in a bowl because you don't want to work from your food processor. It's just hard to get everything out. So use your rubber spatula, your trusty rubber spatula. Get this out. Sometimes I use my hands. I really think your hands are your best tools, aren't they? I know you do too. They really are. All right. So we get rid of this. And we just mix this around if anything didn't get mixed up. That's our almond filling. And that's going to almost be like a macaroni filling inside. Yum. 1/3 cup of seeded. It's got seeds in it. If you don't like the seeds on your jam, I'm using raspberry jam. If you don't like the seeds, use seedless. I like the seeds. It adds a little personality, a little chew to the richness of our dough. So we have that on the side. All right. So now I have my dough rolled out. I'm just going to keep rolling it out a little bit. My edges are a little thicker than they should be. This should make just shy of 2 dozen Hamantaschen. You can easily multiply it. You can, and then work with half at a time, your dough, that is, and your fillings. All right, you don't want to make the Hamantaschen too thin. All right, beautiful. Now, 3-inch wide, 3-inch in diameter, cookie cutter round is traditional. The way you'd make them. Sometimes I like to go a little crazy and use fluted because it just adds a little, you know, je ne sais quoi, you know. We are doing a modern version, so why not? So this is exactly 3 inches. This, or a little over 3 inches even, and this is about 3.5. Do whatever you want. Do whatever feels good to you. Let's do a fluted and be different. So we're going to try to get as many as we can out of this first roll. So I'm going to go right to the edge, push down, and you're just going to go shimmy, shimmy back and forth. And I'm going to, we got it, right? So now we're going to do a little egg wash. So I have 1 egg that I've just beaten by itself, nothing else in there. I'm just going to lightly egg wash it. You're not making an omelet, folks. Lightly egg wash. And then you're going to take a small spoon and you're going to add a few teaspoons of your almond filling. All right. And you're just good. If you overfill it, that might even be too much. So I'm going to put a little bit to the off center. All right. You see that? And then just a wee tad of our raspberry jam. So pretty. And now, this is how you make the third, the three-sided triangle. So you're going to lift one side up over, all right? And then I'm going to rotate it, and you're going to lift one side up here. And if it cracks a little, don't worry about it. This dough is so beautiful, you can actually just put it right back together. Sometimes if you have over folded it, you may get a little overflow. And if the first one doesn't come out, then you're going to pinch your sides. All right. So might have been a little too much filling, but that's okay. We're bleeding raspberry jam, no worries. And then I usually put it on my sheet pan, parchment paper lined sheet pan. And you just want to get a little egg wash on the sides. This will add to the browning. All right, that's it. Let's do one more. Let's do a big one, but not fluted. Okay, let's be a little different. Actually, more traditional, right? So you're going to lift it up. You can actually do all your circles first, but I'm just so excited that you're here doing this that we're going to fill each one as we do it. And of course, you can re-roll the scraps. So you're going to egg wash. You're not going to go crazy and say, "Ooh, I love almond filling," and overfill, which is exactly what I did. And if you do overfill a little bit, nothing's going to happen. So that might be a little underfill. So take a little bit more. All right. That's all. Just put it off the side. A little bit of your jammy jam. And if you don't like raspberry, you don't have to use raspberry jam. You could use apricot. You could use anything you wanted. You could even put a little bit of ganache in there. That would be good too, you know. And then we're just going to go like fold one side up and push a little. And then you're going to rotate it. You're going to push the other side up. And if it cracks, don't worry about it. You're going to pinch it at the end. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And then you're just going to pinch, push down, pinch, pinch, pinch. It's supposed to look like a hat, like a three-sided hat. All right. See how pretty that is with the almond and the berry? It's just so pretty. And it's going to bake and get a little bubbly in the oven. They bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to leave about an inch or two in between each one. And you're going to bake them for about 14 minutes. They're going to get nice and brown. And then you're going to, if you can let them cool before you eat them, you can enjoy them later, room temperature. They freeze beautifully, but there won't be any leftovers. So I'm going to continue rolling these out and filling them. So my almond raspberry Hamantaschen just came out of the oven, and they're gorgeous. So what I'm doing is I'm going to let them cool, and these I made a little earlier, and look how beautiful they are. I made some small ones, and I made some big ones so you can enjoy. Now, of course, if you make bigger than smaller, you're going to have a less of a yield, but they are scrumptious. They freeze well, they pack well. I hope you make them for your friends and family. And to my Jewish friends, happy Purim and happy spring. And I hope you watch this video, and I hope you become a subscriber. Till next time.